나만 알고 싶은 우리 동네의 작은 가게들 하나쯤 있다면 그 가게 마음껏 이용하고 응원해주세요. 동네 가게를 이용할수록 우리 경제가 살아나니까요. 세상 가장 쉬운 응원 같이 가요. 작은 가게로 부산 방송광고 발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Last week during the record high snowfall in Seoul, you might have seen footage or at least seen this photo of a man literally on skis going to work. And that definitely went viral online. This man turned out to be a gym teacher, a physical education or PE teacher heading to work. And, many praise his dedication. And though some people really had to ask this question, should we be that dedicated to getting to work even in a natural disaster? And couldn't the massive car pileups on the roads have been avoided had workers not been made to go in during these types of conditions? Well, climate change is prompting these abnormal weather events, and it may be time to rethink such a work ethic. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, December 2nd on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, wavers. Oh my goodness, happy December. It sounds so weird. But yes, here we are kicking off the first Monday of the last month of the year 2024. I hope you had a good weekend and are ready to, get off on the right foot together this Monday morning. For now, I want to go back to last week where there were a lot of people, including even some of our wavers, our listeners out there, who had to fight the snow, the elements to get to work and then traverse back and get back home, right? So this was a disaster situation involving deaths. A 53-car collision, a pileup with headlines like commuting wars in the snow, 출근 전쟁. Like literally, it was really, really bad. But if you think about it, unless your work is in an absolutely essential field, should people have been going out or been made to go out in this so-called war zone to get to work where there was, 40 centimeters of snow piled up? And apparently this is happening more and more, these type of natural, disaster-like events, weather events. We're talking about torrential rain, typhoons, and yes, heavy snow. So one survey from this summer showed that 60% of workers went into work on time, even during a natural disaster. But are there no laws or regulations about this right to not have to go into work during a time like this, unless obviously you are in this field where you're an essential worker? The answer is simply no, unless your company rules or union rules allow for employees to use paid vacation days in case of natural disasters. What this means is that under the current law, employees are required to go into work on time even if there is a natural disaster going on, and failing to do so counts as going in late or missing work. Well, there have been cases where the labor minister has recommended or advised workplaces to allow for employees to use their vacation days in natural disaster situations. This actually is not enforceable. It's a recommendation. So going back to that PE teacher who skied to work, it turns out that he was a cross-country skier for the national team. 그러니까 국가대표팀 cross-country ski 선수 출신이었대요. So that kind of makes sense now. It wasn't just an average, Joe or you and I just kind of trying to ski to get to work. And while we may herald his athleticism and work ethic, not everyone, I definitely don't have these abilities. should we be expected to go that far to get to work? And I think that's a question that we need to ask because, I don't know, last week was pretty hairy out there. Let's get to our text topic, though. Are you ready? Here we go. People are so, I don't know, artistic, especially with the snowmen and the snow sculptors. Did you see some of these photos? I was just like amazed. So what are some of the things that you can make or you've made really well, you know, with your hands? What are you, or maybe not with your hands, okay, but what are you really good at making? Let me give you some examples. For example, I'm really good at making ramen. Or maybe you're really good at knitting. Okay, so whatever it is, to use your body to make something, good or artistic or just, 자, 예술적 눈사람 인증샷이 속속 올라왔는데요. 봤죠? 보셨죠? 나는 이거 진짜 잘 만든다. 자랑 타임입니다. 자랑해주세요. 잘 만드는 음식. Or maybe the 조립식 장난감, it takes like skilled hands, right? Or 뜨개질, 가구 잘 만든다. 아니면 아재 개그를 잘해서 다른 사람들을 웃게 만든다. 그래서 라면 잘 만드는 것도 I think that's a particular skill because, there are some family members that are just not good at making ramen. And I really don't like the overcooked noodles if someone's listening. 저는 네. 꼬들꼬들 라면 좋아합니다. 자, it's 자랑 time. So tell me all about your skills. You can send them into BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to YouTube, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel, and then subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. And you can reach me for free on Kakao Talk as well. So same thing there. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. Add us as a friend. And you can send in your photos and, of course, your messages, too. The ways you can listen to us, 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio. That's if you're in the Busan area. Like I said, we are streaming live as we speak on YouTube, but you can also watch again, go back and replay at your leisure. We're also available on two apps. We have our own app, our BFM app, or you can go to Patbang. You can download both of those at your store. Looking ahead to our morning together, we have Showbiz Buzz with Michael and then Business Perspectives with Bobby. That's coming up in hour number 2. For a special interview, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump's proposed tariffs. Because as you know, that President-elect Donald Trump, he has announced that he will be targeting specifically Canada, Mexico, and China. But keep in mind that it's not just those 3 countries that are affected. Think about all the multinational corporations, including Korean companies that have their, different factories or outlets in these countries. So how is this going to affect economics, trade all around the world? We're going to find out in hour number 2. And I'll be back with news headlines. It is now 7:08. These are today's headlines. Clash over government budget as opposition makes reductions with 0 additions. The opposition Democratic Party, or DP, yesterday said it will introduce a downsized budget bill for next year in a plenary National Assembly session today, prompting protests from the ruling party and the presidential office. DP agrees to postpone crypto taxation for 2 years. The main opposition Democratic Party, DP, has agreed to postpone the implementation of taxation on crypto assets for 2 years for a more refined system. INC 5 in Busan ends without a treaty to end plastic pollution. The 5th meeting of the Intergovernmental Negotiation Committee, or INC, in Busan ended on December 1st without delivering a treaty to address the global plastic pollution crisis, with countries to resume talks next year. Russian defense minister heads home after North Korea trip. Russia's Defense Minister Andrei Belousov has left Pyongyang after a 2-day visit during which he met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the North State media reported yesterday. Trump threatens a 100% tariff on BRICS countries if they abandon the U.S. dollar. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said that he would impose a 100% tariff on the BRICS geopolitical coalition of non-Western countries if the group moves away from trading using the U.S. dollar. And these are today's headlines. Let's greet Haley first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, before we jump into Busan Updates, let's hear all your bragging. What are you good at? What are you good at making?
I'm good at making
Uh-huh.
a fairly decent cup of coffee. I was thinking about this morning as I was going through my routine. I was like, I'm pretty good at making a decent cup of coffee.
What kind of coffee is it? Like drip
latte.
coffee? Latte.
And then, yeah.
Do you do the latte art?
I tried. I really tried. I have a friend who's a barista, and she tried to teach me. We got to like the perfect steam milk temperature.
Yes.
And then, and then it just stopped. And then period. Yeah, you're right. Our producer's like, it's just 본인만 만족하는 커피 같은데 제 입에 들어갈 건데요. 뭐. So I'm not selling it. It's for me. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at making myself happy. Yeah. I'm also, and I was like, as I was doing my makeup, I was like looking around. What am I good at? Making a mess.
Making a mess.
And I thought about taking a picture of the mess because our dining room table is like my makeup counter / my work area.
Yes.
And I thought about taking a picture as
Just
you know.
to show?
Yeah, but then I was like, it's so gross. Like I will dance and sing on air, but like there is a certain image there's a line that shall not be crossed, and I think it is that
line.
Yeah.
People don't need to know that much about me.
No, you really don't.
All right. Well, we're going to jump into our first update. First, the European Commission last week approved this Korean Air Asiana Airlines merger, and this merger greatly affects Busan. So let's delve into the story.
Right. So you might be wondering, well, why does an EU Commission decision? Why is that in Busan Updates of all segments? But let's go to the background because Asiana Airlines is the parent company of Air Busan,
yes.
which of course is one of the biggest Busan-based companies and the airline with the highest passenger share out of Gimhae International Airport.
Sure.
However, if that parent company, Asiana, merges with Korean Air, then chances are Air Busan will likely also be kind of combined with Jin Air, which is the low-cost carrier under Korean Air, and its headquarters located likely to Incheon International Airport.
I see.
So then Air Busan, although it'll still bear the name Air Busan, it won't be out of Busan anymore. So it loses that identity, and Busan loses this major company.
Right.
And looking towards the future, we want and need Air Busan to operate out of Kadok Airport as the key operator, and those plans may go up in the air.
So what has the city been calling for in order to prevent this from happening?
Right. So Busan City and its civic society, they've been long advocating for Asiana Airlines to divide and divest Air Busan. So that's called 분리매각. So basically sell it off to a different company. But the airline's position has been that there will be no divestment.
Yes.
Until there was, but not with Air Busan, because as a part of the conditions for getting the European Commission or the EC's approval, the Korean Air decided to divest and sell Asiana's profitable cargo line.
That's right. And so that brings us back to Busan. So what's happening here again?
Right. So last week, Busan civic groups issued a statement condemning this decision and also to the government for its lack of action regarding these regional local airlines. So they called the president to take action and urged Busan City to make sure that Korean Air's post-merger plans will include a regional airline and a divestment of Air Busan.
Okay.
And if this is not possible, they called for the next best option, which is for a joint LCC low-cost carrier headquarters to be located in Busan City. In fact, they'll actually hold a press conference later today at the Busan Metropolitan City Council.
I see. So we'll await word and then relay that to our listeners, of course. All right, next up, we have seen a big number of people leaving Busan in the first 10 months of the year. Not great news.
Right. So we unfortunately do have to report on this exodus. And for the net exits from Busan for the first 10 months of the year was 11,600, the highest in 3 years.
Yes.
And this is according to Statistics Korea, which also said a total of 34,000 people came into Busan, but a total of 35,000 people left the city in the month of October. So we have lost 1,388 people.
Sure.
This is a near 35% increase from the same period last year and the highest since 2021.
Right.
So going back to 2021, why did so many people leave Busan City? This was the height of the height of the pandemic,
Right.
with a huge spike in people leaving the city for the capital area to search for jobs in that economy.
Yes.
And then this year, though, there was a fairly big movement of people across the country in general, an increase of 2.8% nationwide. And experts say that this is because of an increase in home buying, and that led to more people being on the move to fill those homes.
I see. So that's what's happening. That's why we see this deficit of people. We're now going to go to the hillside neighborhoods in Busan, which are getting more elevators to increase access for more people.
Right. So, those hillside original city center neighborhoods, they have names like the 48 stairs or the 100 and so many stairs. And you're like,
right.
wow, these are really important heritage sites. Can I go there? Am
I
I
know.
physically able to climb the 168 stairs? And then imagine living there. And usually it is the elderly who have stayed behind in those original downtown areas.
Right.
And I'm talking about neighborhoods in Dong, Busanjin, Yeongdo, and Seogu districts. So once again, these are problematic for the residents who are older and also an increased barrier of entry for the visitors. But these districts are spending more money installing elevators and kind of monorails. Donggu District Office said they're spending over 10 billion won to add 4 of these sloped elevators that you do see on our YouTube page.
Right.
And this would be at the Pyeongil-dong Ijungsub stairs, the 48 stairs in Choryang, and in 2 residential areas.
Okay.
Also in Choryang, the 168 stairs, they used to have a monorail, but it kept breaking down.
Right.
So they're going to replace that with sloped elevators, and that'll complete construction later this month and open next year.
Okay.
Seogu has already installed 6 elevators and 1 monorail. So this is vastly expected to increase the accessibility problem for the resident. Another benefit is increasing tourism because once again, these neighborhoods are trying to kind of capitalize off of their natural resources of these hillside areas, which hard to get to but have great views. So they're trying to turn some of the spots into cafes and even some outdoor theaters.
Okay.
So in the long term, the goal is to increase foot traffic and help with the persistent issue of empty abandoned homes, including using these homes as accommodations and workspaces.
Yes. So I'm glad that, there is going to be better access for a large number of people. That's definitely good news. All right. Next up, this happens to be Busan-ASEAN or ASEAN Weeks. And this is hosted by Busan City and the Busan Global City Foundation. So there are some major events taking place to solidify the relationship between, obviously, we're not a member of ASEAN, but we are a partner, definitely. So between the two regions, right?
Right. So this week commemorates the 2019 ROK and ASEAN Commemorative Summit. So this year, the week is divided into 3 major events, an esports global exchange, diplomatic delegations invitation to Busan, and commemorative talks. So the esports event took place last Friday with 28 teams from 10 different countries.
Yes.
We've also had the ambassador to Philippines ambassador to South Korea on our program. We've also been having international students from ASEAN countries, Cambodia, Indonesia, Brunei, and Vietnam on other BUFM shows. Be sure to check that out. And now there will be multiple talk shows commemorating sister cities with Surabaya, Phnom Penh, Ho Chi Minh City, and more. Excuse me. And the Busan Asian Weeks will go on until December 12th.
Well, thank you for giving us all the updates, Haley. We'll check in with you real soon for news. Back to you, the waivers for now. I don't know if you've seen the snowman, the sculptures online from last week, but that's kind of the impetus for this text topic today. So we are talking about some things that you are really good at making. So what might that be? So I've already mentioned things like 뜨개질, knitting or crocheting, making things. What about even making the perfect 완벽한 계란 후라이? 익히는 게 근데 it depends on how you may actually cook it though, right? And so, yes, we want to know about how skilled you are. So send in your messages. In the meantime, here's your traffic and weather. It is time for your traffic and weather. It's now 7:20. There's congestion on Luno Samsungdaedo from Myeongji Ramp to Shinho Bridge right now. It's also slow on Dongso Overpass from Hwangyang Ramp to the old Gaegum Tollgate. And there's also backup detected on Nakdong Namno from the Gangsa Police Station to Seongsan Three-Way intersection. And for the weather, we're seeing rather warm temperatures today. So currently it's sitting at 11 degrees Celsius. It's going to go up to 18 under clear skies. For the rest of the country, it's going to be once again relatively warm across the country with light rain or forecast for the capital area, parts of Gangwon, Chungcheong, and Jeonbuk in the evening, traveling to the southern parts by the afternoon. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for our news segment called News Digest. We're going to dive into our first one where this is the newest issue of partisan disputes. The Democratic Party, DP, bringing a series of impeachment charges.
So there's going to be a massive conflict at the National Assembly today. First, we talked about in news highlights, the budget. And then the impeachment motions or 탄핵 for 3 prosecutors and the chair of the Board of Audit and Inspection. So in Korean, that is 감사원장. So this has prompted the presidential office to slam the decision by the Democratic Party or DP as unconstitutional, and also former audit and inspection chiefs issuing joint statements.
Yes. And so we're going to go through, parse through this story because there are many parts. First, as to why the DP is bringing up these impeachment charges in the first place. Why?
Right. So let's go to the very top of the issue. First, for the prosecutor. So we're looking at 3, including the head of the Seoul Central District Prosecution Office, Lee Chang-soo. And the impeachment against the prosecutors, it goes back to the First Lady. For what, according to the DP, their failure to indict the First Lady, Kim Gun-hee, for her alleged involvement in the Deutsche Motors stock manipulation scandal.
So what about for the chairman of the Board of Audit?
Right now for the 감사원장, the board chairman issue, it goes back to, actually further back to that relocation of the presidential office from 청와대 to the current Yongsan office. So there had been these allegations of the First Lady's influence in this move, who recommended this certain contractor without the normal public bidding process and so on and so forth. Well, the chair of the board of audit, Choi Jae-hae, he refused to comply with the National Assembly's request to submit documents related to this audit during the parliamentary inspection of the government that happened 2 months ago. So the Democratic Party said that the chairman of the audit board conducted what they call a, quote, lax inspection of the relocation and lost his political neutrality, and thus the impeachment motion set to take place today.
Okay.
And by the way, this is the first time in constitutional history that an impeachment motion has been filed or will be filed against the head of the audit board.
Right. And the reaction has been fierce. I think that's an understatement.
Right. So the
Yes.
People Power Party, the ruling party, PPP, said that the DP has this impeachment fever or impeachment craze. The presidential office said that it is unprecedented in our constitutional history
Right.
to do this, and damages to the foundation. It damages the foundation of the constitutional order. So going back to what I said, the 5 former heads of the Board of Audit and Inspection, they issued a joint statement expressing their grave concerns and regrets. But in any case, the plan by the opposition parties to bring up the motion today at the National Assembly and vote on it on Wednesday.
All right. So that's the latest. Of course, I know we're going to have much more information later on. Let's move on to our next story. AI textbooks, which have raised eyebrows, concerns, and controversy. So apparently, after much consideration and probably some criticism, the government has decided to kind of revise its plan.
Revise but not withdraw,
Okay.
and plans will go into effect next year as planned. But the Education Ministry, they announced the assessment results for the AI textbooks.
Yes.
That'll go into effect for next year, but also revise the roadmap for the later years coming for 2016 through 2028. So this was the big blow in kind of going to this revision was the National City and Provincial Education Superintendents Conference. They proposed a revisal for the textbooks to be implemented in the following years.
Okay.
So the initial plan was to implement AI textbooks, AI 교과서, for elementary school and middle schools in Korean language, social studies, science, technology, and home ec, 기가, 기술, 가정,
Yes.
by 2026. Expand that to middle school Korean history by 2027, and in high school certain subjects by 2028. So those
Yes.
were the plans. However, the key revisions include pulling the textbooks. So they're not going to have AI textbooks for 국어, Korean language, and 기가, technology, and home ec. So as for, well, why?
Yes.
Because they said Korean language involves a lot of self-expression when answering essay questions on the students' parts.
Sure.
So having that as an AI textbook and entering that into kind of an online database, that carries concerns for infringement of their privacy.
Oh.
And of course, the concerns that studying language through a device may hurt comprehension skills. And we've had a very extensive interview on that from last, I believe, Thursday from Dr. Marian Wolf. Also, tech and home ec, they're more practical. They're more hands-on subjects. So they needed content diversification for
Yes.
other subjects, including home ec and science and social studies for one more year.
Well, I'm sure some parents might be more keen on the revision, but this also means that some subjects are still going to be using, these devices, AI textbooks, right?
So as planned for 3rd and 4th graders in elementary school,
Yes.
as well as middle and high school's first-year students, they're still going to see AI textbooks for English, math, and information. So the Education Ministry announced that their assessment results and will distribute the final versions to the school starting this month.
Right.
But that means the teachers have 3 months until the beginning of the new school year to learn the contents. And the ministry said that it's actually going to, they have assigned guide teachers to train the teachers at the schools and consult them. However, the guide teachers will also have 3 months to learn these books inside and cover to cover.
Yes.
So the Parliamentary Education Committee, they also passed the bill that classifies these AI textbooks not as 교과서 educational textbooks, but educational material, 교육 자료. Why is that wording important? Well, that's because the principals have a discretion on whether they even want to use educational materials in their
really?
schools. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we really, everything's up in the air, basically, is the point.
Yes, so I'm sure we'll have future discussions on this topic as well. Let's move on to some international news. The Syrian civil war. It's back in the headlines after, many years of us discussing it too, as the rebels have apparently made significant headway.
Right, and you might be wondering, that's the Syrian, that Syrian civil war is still happening. And indeed, it's been going on for 13 long years.
Right.
So if you kind of rewind back, and by the way, to kind of go back to how far ago this was, I did my university senior thesis on the Arab Springs. So that was over a decade ago.
Yes.
This was a series of pro-democracy protests across the Middle East and North Africa against multiple long authoritarian regimes to varying degrees of success. Well, and protests in Syria, protests broke out against President Bashar al-Assad, who's the son of former President Hafiz al-Assad. And the father and son, they've been ruling the country since the 70s.
Oh.
By the way, President al-Assad's regime is backed by Russia and Iran. And on the other side, the United States supports Syrian rebels and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, Kurdichok, who are occupying the northeastern parts of Syria.
Okay.
But after this long, drawn-out fight that has lasted over 10 years, the rebels recently, they've taken this surprising offensive on Aleppo, which is Syria's second biggest city.
Yes.
And by the way, this is the first time that the rebels have seized Aleppo since being forced out by the army back in 2016. Back then, Russian warplanes helped President al-Assad retake the city. And Syrian military said that its troops have withdrawn from Aleppo temporarily to kind of get ready for a counteroffensive.
Yes, so that's what's been going on. So what has been given, or the reasoning behind the rebels, and then where do they get the resources to even make this offensive?
Right, so this is all actually connected to the ongoing conflicts with Israel and Iran-backed forces like Hamas and Hezbollah, as many things are in the Middle East. So let's go back to that point about the al-Assad regime being backed by Russia and Iran. But that also means that other Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah has been on the Syrian government side and helping Assad.
Okay.
But Hezbollah has been otherwise occupied with their own conflict, and along with Russia with its war in Ukraine. And Israeli forces have been sitting Syria as well, targeting the Hezbollah weapon depots and other targets. So that is what has given the rebels kind of an opening to attack and take Aleppo. So,
yes. So that's why back in the news, the Syrian civil war, along with all the disputes all around the world. But thank you for all the news, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And for now, we're going to get to our first song. And I got a message from 가보자고 Waver, who requested a song saying, I had a breakup recently. And, breakups, they happen for a certain reason. I'm not sure what went wrong with your relationship. But anyhow, she requested It's Raining Men by Jerry Halliwell. And I don't know, just like the title says, hopefully there will be lots of raining of men. And that, by the way, that's only if you choose, that route. Perfectly happy being single. That is the choice of many others. So here it is. It's Raining Men by Jerry Halliwell.
It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men. Amen. It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men. Amen. Humidity's rising. The runners getting low.
Welcome back, everybody. I love the fact that you guys share your innermost happenings and occurrences in your lives with us. I feel like family. So once again, to 가보자고님, 화이팅. By the way, today we're talking about what you're good at. What are you good at making? And whether it's something physical or whether it's something a little more abstract, 그 잘 만드는 걸 뭘 잘 만드세요? 음식일 수도 있고요. Like a lot of people have sent in. Maybe you're good at crafts, like Leslie. Leslie and I, we're going to have a rainy day craft day because I love my glue gun. I have a very nice glue gun and I love making stuff. For example, I used to be into making hair accessories for my little ones because I went to the department store and I realized some of the expensive ones are like 25,000원, 30,000원. Too expensive, in my humble opinion, to put one little thing on my girl's head. So I would go to the one of those markets, 시장s out there, and buy all the little accessories and glue them with my little glue gun. What else? Oh, I'm told, according to my family, I'm good at making sauces. 그 소스를 잘 만든다고 우리 가족들이 얘기해요. Not my opinion, that of my family. But they're forced to eat my food, so they got to compliment me, right? And last thing that I'm good at, 뜨개질, knitting. I will one of these days bring in one of the many sweaters that I have knitted to show you my handiwork. So enough about me. I saw a very interesting message from 백승철 Waver, who says 저는 발효 음식을 잘 만들어요. 발효 음식 너무 대단해요. Fermented food, or it depends on what it is. It could be preserves. So that's pretty amazing. 발효 연구소에서 지난 1년간 배웠어요. So he apparently took classes on this. So that must mean you're pretty good at it. So I take your word for it that you're good at it. Also, I believe Tommy sent in a message about he used to make model toys and whatnot. So that is something that can be a hobby as well. I will read more of your messages in a little bit. In the meantime, let's get to Cat's Pick for today. For today's Cat's Pick, I want to focus on the restoration of the Notre Dame Cathedral. If you remember, back in 2019, there was a huge fire, and everyone around the world, we were kind of watching in awe, and it was not a good kind of awe. We were just dumbfounded by the destruction. So here's a clip from CBS News.
The world is getting its first look inside Paris's iconic Notre Dame Cathedral, nearly 6 years after it was ravaged by a fire. You'll recall the roof of the more than 800-year-old cathedral went up in flames in April of 2019, causing a partial collapse and sending its famous spire crashing down. Today, French President Emmanuel Macron took a televised tour of the stunning new interior 8 days ahead of its official reopening.
Since more than 8 centuries, this cathedral was here. It resisted to 2 world wars, so many battles and campaigns. The decision to rebuild Notre Dame, it was about our capacity to save, restore, sometimes reinvent what we are by preserving where we come from. This is a message of achievement.
Many of the achievements, like the new spire and roof, are massive. Notre Dame's huge bells were removed after the fire for cleaning and repair, then returned and tested a few weeks ago. Its organ, with 8,000 pipes, the largest in France, was also removed, repaired, and reinstalled. The day we were there, an organist filled the cathedral with thunderous, soaring sound.
So the good news is it is back. The Notre Dame Cathedral, especially that spire, the steeple that fell. People, I'm sure, saw it all around the world once again. How much did this cost? £582 million. 700 million euros. In Korean money, 1조 원이 들었다는데요. And apparently this was from donations from all around the world. So we have a vested interest. We wanted to see how it turned out. The good news is it is back. Better than ever, they say. And this was Kat's pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for Showbiz Buzz. We have Michael here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what are you good at making? And you cannot say, I'm good at making music. 빼고요.
Oh my goodness, this is very, very difficult.
Because I'm reading some of the comments, especially from Kosu and Taejin waivers. They're going back and forth. They're like, oh, I'm not very good at doing anything. My wife's better than me at driving, and and saying like, 동감합니다. Like, 보통 남자입니다, 우리는. But there are other men who are making like 청s. Like
청s?
Like 발효
good
연구를
for
해서
them, but
청을
청s.
만드신대요.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Well, good for him. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish I could
영혼이
make
없는
chunks.
답.
I mean, I wish I could make some chunks because I stand by with TJ and other waivers who think themselves as 보통 남자 because I'm also a very, very, very 보통 남자. In that
really?
sense. So taking out the music.
Taking out the music.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I suck at cooking.
Okay.
I'm really bad
At what else?
like assembling stuff. So those toys that you
like the block toys?
the block toys.
You're not good at that? Oh.
I'm good at breaking them.
You're
Yeah, but my hands are not designed to assemble things.
because you're an artiste.
I don't think that I'm. I think that's a very, very nice way to put it. But I don't know. My hands are for destruction.
So can we call you hands of destruction?
Yes, you can
Hodad.
call me hands of destruction, or Thanos, or whatnot,
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So
타노스.
yeah. But for me, it's like I mean, there needs to be guys like us. Like so. I don't know, like
Tommy
yeah,
is chiming in, another guy, married guy. 이제 곧 선배.
yeah. 선배님.
He's like, it's easy to make chung. Slice whatever you want and add sugar. A lot of it. Done.
I mean, that sounds easy. I know, but like you never know until you try.
Yes.
You never know until you try.
Well, why don't we try? And we'll see.
Yeah, I'll try to make chung and I'll let you know how
All right,
how
all
it turns
right.
out. I mean, I can, maybe it will turn out to be a soup or something. It's not chung at all, but I'll try.
Okay.
It's all about trying, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We're going to jump into our first bit of Showbiz Buzz. What do you have for us?
Yes, some, I guess, issues that we can think about this week. So first off,
Yes.
SM Entertainment's first British boy group, Dear Alice, is set to debut later this year through a collaboration with Kakao Entertainment and the American music label Gamma. So according to SM, the three companies have entered a strategic partnership to support the group's global launch and its music activities.
Yes.
And the initiative is part of its ongoing efforts to expand its global intellectual property portfolio. So they're basically going out to the world, basically, to create more content and more music that doesn't just involve, Korean artists, but,
Yes.
in this case, British, citizens. So, SM emphasizes commitment to introducing the group to international audiences and providing it with opportunities to thrive on the global stage. Dear Alice is comprised of 5 members. All of them are from Britain, so British nationality.
Okay.
Blaze Noon, James Sharp, Oliver Quinn, Dexter Greenwood, and Reese Carter. And they were formed through a process documented in the BBC One series Made in Korea, The K-Pop Experience, which aired this summer. And, alongside this, news, there is, I guess, one issue that we need to think about.
Yes.
Many people and many experts are starting to ask this question of what is K-pop?
I've seen multiple articles
Yes.
posing that same question.
Yeah. And, you know, is Dear Alice a K-pop boy band? I mean, you know, many people ask that question. Some say yes, and some say no.
The
right?
naysayers, the people who disagree, are reading some of the articles that have come up, say, well, isn't this just like a pop group with K-pop elements, or is it really a K-pop group? Is the question that's being posed.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, like JYP Entertainment, they have their own version of a global K-pop band, or and I think it's called VCHA, right? Vicha or
Is it?
Yeah. So there is a group, another group created by JYP earlier this year, and there is a very famous, I guess, quote said by Park Jin-young, who's the founder of JYP.
Yes.
He said at the 2024 Mnet Asian Music Awards that Vicha, I think VCHA. So this group is not a K-pop group. That's what he said.
Oh. He
So
said they're not? Okay.
they're not. So, I mean, what qualifies as a K-pop boy band, like or a K-pop group?
Right.
I mean, does it have to involve, like the expertise and the training system of the K-pop industry? Many say that's not enough. But many experts say that what's important when it comes to qualifying as a K-pop group is the ability to communicate with a Korean fandom.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting point. Being able to communicate through the Korean language with the Korean fandom might be one of the very important factors or components of qualifying as a K-pop
Rather
band.
than just a pop band with
Exactly.
Korean, K-pop elements.
Exactly.
Like, the sound or the dances.
Exactly. So the definition is still being made, and it's going through
Good
the
point.
discussions. But I think this is some of the things that we can definitely have it as a food for thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next item.
Okay, so another issue. Singer V of K-pop superband BTS has topped Apple iTunes charts in 75 countries with his latest release, Winter Ahead. So it's a duet song. Winter
Okay.
Ahead is a duet song with K-pop artist Park Hyo-shin. Oh man, great singer.
Yes.
And the song was released on Friday. It claimed the #1 spot on iTunes' top songs charts across various nations, including Britain, Germany, and Japan. Winter Ahead also ranked first in worldwide iTunes song and European iTunes song charts. Its music video topped YouTube trending music videos worldwide,
Yes.
garnering over 4.48 million views within 24 hours after its release. So that's pretty fast. Breaking records every day. Every time I come back with, similar news like this.
Right.
And it happens again and again and again. And it's amazing how K-pop is still pushing through the trend. Yeah.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to some film news.
Yes. Film news and some controversial issues.
Yes.
So we had the Blue Dragon Film Awards last Friday. So that's the 청룡 영화상, the 45th 청룡 영화상.
Right.
And the historical drama December 12th, The Day, or 서울해봄 in Korean, won Best Film at the awards, with its lead actor Hwang Jung-min taking home the Best Actor award. And we all remember what 서울해봄, this film, is about. It
Right.
depicts the gripping 9-hour standoff on December 12th, 1979 between, Chun Doo-kwang, the mastermind behind a military coup, and Lee Tae-shin, the capital defense commander who bravely opposes the coup
Yes.
at great personal risk. Kim Go-eun won Best Actress for her performance in 파묘. Or Exuma.
Exuma, right.
Yes, a great movie. Jung Hae-in won Best Supporting Actor for his role in Beterang 2, or I, the Executioner, while Lee Sang-hee took home Best Supporting Actress for a portrayal of Sunju in Netflix's original Korean film, My Name is Ro Gi-wan.
Okay.
Blue Dragon 청룡 영화상 is one of country's most prestigious film honors. It was established in 1963. It was temporarily discontinued in 1973, but resumed in 1990.
I
And
see.
was held annually ever since.
And let's talk about the
And
The big
you know what's coming.
elephant in the room.
Yeah, the
Yes.
elephant in the room. 청룡 영화상 this year brought up a lot of controversies, a lot of things that we can debate on definitely. And the key word is actor Jung Woo-sung.
Yes.
Actor Jung Woo-sung made an appearance at the awards amid a week of controversy and widespread public attention following the revelation that he had fathered a child out of wedlock.
Right.
So Jung took the stage alongside actor Hwang Jung-min to announce their political drama 소홀해지자 as the year's most watched film. And his appearance had been the subject of speculation at first, with many wondering if it would overshadow the awards ceremony.
Right.
And I personally think it did. It did. So just a quick overview. So Jung Woo-sung's agency confirmed Sunday Jung is the father of model Moon Gabi's son.
Right.
2 days after the model revealed that she had given birth but withheld the father's identity, sparking speculation that she might raise the child outside of marriage.
So what did he say?
So he said during his speech at the awards, Jung Woo-sung reaffirmed his commitment to his son, and he said, "I will fulfill my responsibilities as a father until the end." So that's what he said. But there are other controversies surrounding this, appearance. So many people are saying, Jung Woo-sung's, appearance at the awards is meaningful to a certain extent. But what happened to, the passing of Kim Soo-mi? And Song Jae-rim and other actors and actresses who recently passed away, and there were no mentioning of them during the awards.
No tributes.
No tributes at all. So there is a lot of controversy behind this, saying that we all talk about Jung Woo-sung and his I guess personal life.
Right.
But I think at the awards, what's due and what's supposed to happen is we have to bring tribute to those who passed recently and the actors and actresses
And the work, right? That
and
they
the work that they
represent.
did. But this did not happen. So this is one of the controversies surrounding the Blue Dragon Film Awards.
I see. Well, a lot of things to think about. So thank you for bringing all this to the discussion table, and we will check in with you next week. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with this song, 그녀가 웃잖아 by Kim Hyung-jun, as requested by Benny. I'll be back at 8.
그래 그렇게 제발 좀 웃어봐 웃는 여자 중엔 네가 제일 예쁜 걸 내 말 앞에 손살에 쳐도 좋은 듯 행복한 듯 웃는 네가 나의 삶의 햇살이잖니 밤새도 눈 빨개져도 난 좋았어 너를 웃게 해줄 생각에 들떠서 혹시 중간에 끊길까봐 재미있는 얘길 달달 외고 준비한 게 달로 나가 연습도 했었지 널 떠난 사람이 줄 수 있다면 널 울린 사람 걷어낼 수 있다면 관대라도 좋아 바보가 된다 해도 너만 기쁘면 그보다 더한 것도 나 누군가 내게 네 사랑과 행복 중 하나만 고르라면 택하라면 하지만 소리도 없이 언제나 난 네 행복 이루고 싶어 네가 나를 사랑하지 않는다 해도 내가 널 사랑하니까 남자니까 우는 건 아픈 건 내가 할게 널 있어줘
Your bridge to the world.
FM 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요?
는 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행 B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
It's a freezing cold winter, so let's be prepared for the cold wave in advance. Please be prepared to protect yourself and your family against the cold wave, which can be fatal for people and can create damages such as pipe bursts, icy roads, and frostbite. Keep the temperature warm for the elderly and young children who are more vulnerable to the cold. When you go outside, dress warm so you don't get frostbite. If you get frostbite, put the affected part of your body in warm water for 30 minutes. Keep the area warm and immediately go see a doctor. Keep water meters and boiler pipes from freezing by insulating them with old clothes or other materials. The roads may be icy, so get winter supplies like snow chains and check your car in advance for antifreeze and other necessities. Frequently check for cold wave related weather forecast through the TV, radio, and the internet. Please follow these guidelines so that we can have a warm and safe winter. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, 부산영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning,
Dynamic Busan.
yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Clash over government budget as opposition makes reductions with zero additions. The opposition Democratic Party, or DP, yesterday said it will introduce a downsized budget bill for next year in a plenary National Assembly session today, prompting protests from the ruling party and the presidential office. The DP earlier cut 4.1 trillion won from the initial government bill for a 677.4 trillion won bill and did not make any additions, calling it necessary to normalize state housekeeping. Both the ruling People Power Party and the presidential office said that they will not respond to any attempts at negotiations if the DP does not withdraw the budget reductions. The legal deadline for next year's budget is today. DP agrees to postpone crypto taxation for 2 years. The main opposition, Democratic Party, DP, has agreed to postpone the implementation of taxation for crypto assets for 2 years for a more refined system. The tax on cryptocurrency assets was supposed to go into effect next year, but the government and the ruling party have called for delays of 2 years. DP floor leader Park Chan-dae also said that the party will pass 8 of the 13 bills related to the budget proposal today, as there are no disagreements between the parties on 8 of the proposed bills. INC 5 in Busan ends without a treaty to end plastic pollution. The fifth meeting of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, or INC, in Busan ended yesterday without delivering a treaty to address the global plastic pollution crisis, with countries to resume talks next year. The talks failed to resolve deep divisions between countries seeking a globally binding agreement to limit production and phase out harmful chemicals, and mostly oil-producing nations who want to focus on waste. Chair Luis Valles Valdivieso said progress had been made, but that there are critical issues that prevent the committee from reaching a comprehensive agreement. Russian defense minister heads home after North Korea trip. Russia's defense minister Andrei Belousov has left Pyongyang after a 2-day visit during which he met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the North state media reported yesterday. Russia also reportedly invited North Korean forces to its Victory Day event to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Soviet victory in World War II next year. In the meantime, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that North Korean troops deployed to Russia's western regions have died or been injured during combat without giving specific numbers. Trump threatens 100% tariffs on BRICS countries if they abandon U.S. dollar. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said that he would impose a 100% tariff on the BRICS geopolitical coalition of non-Western countries if the group moves away from trading using the U.S. dollar. Trump called for a commitment from BRICS nations, a coalition of non-Western countries, that they will not create a new currency nor back any other currency as a replacement to the dollar. The issue of de-dollarization has been gaining steam at their annual summits. However, there is skepticism even within the group, as some members, including India and China, are among the U.S.'s largest trading partners. And this was News Highlights. It is now time for issue wa글와글, which means Haley's back in the studio with us.
The president of Team Make a Mess. And apparently we have members. Welcome.
I just invited myself.
Yeah.
Because I like making and cooking and doing lots of stuff. I'm just not good at the cleaning up part.
And we have
There's somebody else for
t-shirts.
that.
And you
Yes.
can take it off and throw it on the floor. And expect somebody else to clean. I kid, but also not really.
We're putting on another t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, we're not going to be like naked.
We're not flashing, but
Yeah,
I'm
we're
just
not
saying, if you're
flashing as the
changing,
mess team,
you
right.
take it off and put it on the floor.
All right. Well, let's address one of the hottest issues in K-pop right now. This whole New Jeans saga, seeking a split from their label Adore. The 5 members, they announced that they are terminating their contract. But, is this actually going to happen at least without having to pay all the massive penalties that the experts they've been talking about?
Right. So if you've ever, terminated a contract without, fulfilling the terms, there is this thing called 위약금, the penalties. And, if you are a big K-pop group, that figure is astronomical.
Yes.
So according to New Jeans, their contract terminated with Adore as of midnight on Friday. However, they also said that they won't be taking any legal action against Adore, including an injunction against an exclusive contract. So in Korean, that's called 전속계약 효력 정지 가처분. So the termination, of course, had been expected. New Jeans had said basically that during a previous live stream. However, usually in such cases when an artist does terminate their contract with an agency, they seek a contract injunction. So such contract termination without a legal action, aka an injunction, experts say that is unprecedented.
Oh, so is it actually possible for one party, an entity, to end a contract without legal action?
Theoretically, yes. But if we do see this happen, once again, it'll be unprecedented.
Okay.
But here is what New Jeans' logic is. So the fault for contract termination lies with Adore and the parent company Hybe. Therefore, New Jeans, they are in the right to end this contract, and they don't have the need to seek legal action nor pay the penalties for contract termination. So legal experts say that if New Jeans' side is confident that the contract will end, then they may do so. Basically, they're letting New Jeans has let advertisers and broadcasting companies decide whom they want to contact when doing business with New Jeans. So that's what it's meant by not seeking an injunction to this exclusive contract. So as for the contract itself, we do have precedents from the Supreme Court that says if there is objective and grave signs proving a relationship of trust has been broken, then one may terminate a contract. And experts say that the so-called the Hybe documents that said let's discard New Jeans and kind of start a new group, that can be proof of this grave sign of a relationship of trust being broken. So there we have, at least from their logic.
So that's their side. But the big question is whether New Jeans will be able to use their moniker that made them so famous.
New Jeans. Right. So part one is will they be able to get out of the contract without paying massive penalties? Part two, will they still be New Jeans, especially with the name?
Yes.
And New Jeans did say during the press conference that they will try to secure full rights to that name. And going back to just the legal issues, under the standard contract on copyrights, if there's an agreement between the agency and the artist, then they can transfer the rights. However, if the producer, aka, the agency, made significant and special contributions to that group, then the producer can demand an appropriate compensation to handing over that naming right. And we do have multiple cases of K-pop groups having departed from their agencies who have not been able to use their names and had to change, or those that still do. So it's kind of, they really need to hash that out. But will they be able to? We'll have to see.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have more details on this saga. Once again, meaning it's a long, twisting kind of story.
Complicated.
Yes. Okay, up next. The roads are still very icy in parts of the country, and we are constantly telling, the waivers out there, anybody listening, to slow down when driving. However, it's not just drivers. Pedestrians really do need to take caution as well.
Right. Maybe perhaps not today, because what is this 18 degrees thing that's going on outside?
I took off this thick cardigan because I was just like, it's not that cold in here today.
It's spring again, I guess. But especially for seniors. And by the way, shady areas can still be icy.
Right.
During the winter, 52% of all admitted fall patients at hospitals, they're seniors. And that's about 10% higher than usual.
Yes.
Reasons, of course, icy roads plus age-related risks. Because unfortunately, your muscle strength does go down with age, especially if you don't actively exercise. So with reduced muscle strength, it's harder to balance. I mean, your core abilities are weaker.
Yes.
And then we have stiff muscles, joints, and lower bone density, 골밀도. So if you fall on your bottom, as people often do when they're slipping, so 엉덩방아, that can cause this fracturing of your hip bones.
Oh, no.
And at an advanced age, that can actually be fatal. So there are figures on patients with hip fractures over the age of 65 and on, and their fatality rate observed a year after they fractured or broke their hips. But if you are 65 or older, fatality rate a year after that injury was 7%.
Really?
So 7% of people over 65 who broke their hips died a year after. Those over 85, though, that number nearly triples to 20%. If one is over 100 years and older, 40%. Of course, other factors may have played into factors during that year.
Yes.
But because if you fracture any bone, but especially your hips at an advanced age, there's this long recovery period and during which you are bedridden. And that exposes risks to other illnesses.
Yes.
So experts advise taking small strides, so 보폭 줄여서 걷기, and using canes or walkers, 지팡이나 도구 쓰기.
Oh, this is really valuable information. Thank you for sharing it. Now there's this massive food poisoning case that broke out of Vietnam. What's going on?
And I know a lot of people who are traveling there or plan to, but the local police in southern Vietnam's Vung Tau province, they're investigating the suspected case of food poisoning from banh mi sandwiches, the very famous, delicious sandwiches from one particular local bakery, which led to one person actually dying. And 380 people have gotten sick, 120 hospitalized. So this is a massive, massive scandal.
Yes.
All the patients have exhibited same symptoms, including stomach pain, vomiting, diarrhea, and fatigue after they ate banh mi at this bakery. Unfortunately, the deceased was a 71-year-old who died Thursday morning local time. He was diagnosed with sepsis, severe digestive infection, and acute kidney injury.
Oh, no.
And authorities, including the police and relevant agencies, they're trying to trace the source of that bakery's bread, pork, and other ingredients, and trying to figure out what was the cause.
Yes.
But recently, and the reason I'm bringing this up is not just one case. There have been multiple food poisoning cases from specifically banh mi sandwiches. The latest one from another province involving 149 victims, and there's another one that involves 568 people, including a 5-year-old boy who died.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, we don't know yet, but banh mi, perhaps because it has raw vegetables, and that can be a carrier of E. coli, as we've seen in many, many other cases.
Yes.
So if you are traveling, please be careful.
Oh, yes, indeed. All right, for a final story, there are some works of art that people created out of snow. And, we have, photos, from online.
We do.
Viral photos, right?
Right. I mean, do you want to build a snowman? But
is that what that was? I was like,
yeah.
What are you doing, Haley?
Do you want to build it? No, okay, fine, whatever. Will. Anyways, but it's not your everyday snowman. There's Olaf, and then there are snow sculptures.
Right.
Right. So let's go to the National Museum of Contemporary Art, 현대미술관. They're searching for this snow sculptor who created snow sculptures on the museum's courtyard during the heavy snow last week. And we have two busts. Well, it's actually just heads. It cuts off at the neck.
Right.
They're of a Moai sculpture from South America and Olaf.
Aw.
Right. Somebody just sculpted this.
Really?
I mean, have you tried to build I know you're from LA and I'm from Seattle, and we're like snow, and we live in Busan.
We're snow challenged.
Yeah. Have you ever built a snowman though?
You know that last time several years ago, 그때 펑펑 눈 내린 적이 있어요 in Busan. Yes, and that day, I did make a snowman.
It's hard.
In Busan.
It takes such a long time.
And you gotta if you want to make it bigger, you gotta roll.
It takes muscle. It takes. It takes so much. But the museum says they want to gift this artist a museum catalog and ask them to DM them. And then let's go to Kookmin University.
Yes.
They have a snow Pietà.
Oh my gosh.
Someone has built a Pietà, which is a sculpture of a Virgin Mary holding Jesus after he's been taken down from the cross.
Wow,
that sculpture
that's
just
art.
I know. And then there's also an adorable
on the
cube
right.
snowman on the
What is
right.
that?
And I'm like, that
I
snowman
can't even make that.
also deserves credit. That's like a perfect cube. Anyways, it just showed up in front of the art building. So people just assumed, oh, it must be an art student.
Right.
But
No?
it wasn't.
No?
It was a software engineering student. And we're like, you're
very
really making all the art kids look bad.
Right.
The professor is gonna that's gonna be their graduates. It's gonna be their final.
Yes.
And it's all your fault. Well, he says he is also the one who made the snow version of Venus de Milo.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's him on the and that's a fairly tall sculpture.
Yes.
And he's never been trained in art, but he has taken a couple of design classes and just I know. And it was just inspired by the snow to create this art. He's working on, by the way, combining his software background and his artistic sensibility for future business.
Oh, he should. He's so talented. And now, back to reality. If snow were to fall, I don't know, Haley and I, would we be able to make Olaf? I'm not sure, but
I'll bring scarves and carrots for decorative whatever, but yeah.
I'll bring a team of people.
Right.
To build that snowman.
I'll bring my muscles.
All right. Well, thank you, Haley, for Wagga Wagga. We'll check in with you tomorrow.
Have a great day.
And now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your updated traffic report right now. There is an accident on Gwanmun-dero from Sujong Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel in that direction, right by the Baegang Tunnel Ogui three-way intersection. Also, it's congested on Mandok-dero from Sukdung intersection to Deokcheon intersection. Also looking quite slow on Jasongno from Bunyeon intersection to Pyeongil intersection. And it's backed up on Gwangan Bridge, the top portion headed towards the Daeyeon overpass. We are seeing relatively warmer temperatures today. So right now we're at 11 degrees Celsius. It's going to go up to 18 under clear skies. As for the rest of the country, you might see some light rain if you're in the capital area, parts of Gangwon, Chungcheong, or Jeonbuk. That's in the morning. And then that's going to travel to the southern parts by the afternoon. And this was your traffic and weather. And this is December by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Do you remember the 25th night of December? Love was changing the minds of pretenders while chasing the clouds away. Our hearts were ringing in the key that our souls were singing as we danced in the night. Remember how the stars stole the night away.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know how many of you were kind of dancing to that last song. It is December. Can you believe? And so in the spirit of December and all the beautiful artwork of the snowmen and the snow sculptures that we just saw, what are some things that you can make? Maybe not necessarily, sculptures, but something that you're really good at. So it's bragging time. That's what I asked you. And surprisingly, a lot of you very creative with your answers. Tommy says, I'm good at washing dishes because of my room controller, aka his wife, I guess, ordered him to do so. Or she probably asked gently, nicely, right? As for other things that you're good at, I think you guys are really good at making the new waivers that kind of come into the chat room feel really welcome. So if I haven't said it before, I want to thank all of you, all the regulars that I see on our board all the time, whether, it's Drift Monkey or Tommy, especially like Taejin and Choi Yunjung waiver and all the Kosu, everybody in the room that makes the new people, they're probably not new in terms of listening, but they may be new to chatting and making them feel welcome. That's a special talent. So I want to thank you for that. All right, I'll be back with our special interview. President-elect Donald Trump's recent tariff proposals targeting Canada, Mexico, and China could significantly disrupt global trade and economic relations. And, these tariffs set at 25% for Canada and Mexico and an additional 10% for China are framed as measures to address illegal immigration and drug trafficking. However, critics do warn that such actions may trigger retaliatory measures or jeopardize existing trade agreements and lead to higher consumer costs. So let's find out more about the impact of what this might involve. We have invited Professor Patrick Leblond, who is an associate professor and the C.M. Paul Atelier Chair on Business and Public Policy and the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa. He's on air with us right now. Hi, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So can you tell us what some of the key motivations may be behind President-elect Donald Trump's proposed tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China? So I gave a little overview, but is that the gist of it?
Well, as we know, Donald Trump is a big fan of tariffs. He did use them when he was first president during his first mandate. He imposed tariffs on pretty much everyone in China, but also in Canada, on steel and aluminium, and I think also on Japan and South Korea and the Europeans. At that time, he was invoking national security and the need for the U.S. to have its own ability to produce steel and aluminium for building weapons, ultimately. This time, the tack is a bit different. He's focusing very much on immigration, on drugs coming both from the southern border and the northern border here in North America. And again, the logic is somewhat the same, where tariffs are a means to a negotiation to get countries like Canada and Mexico to do more on issues that he cared about. And in this case, it's immigration and drugs. Again, in linked to this idea of security and making the United States more secure. Yes. When it comes to China, and part obviously it's security, but I think it's also the fear when it comes to technology and all that. But we can talk more about that.
Indeed. Well, thanks for explaining that. Well, these tariffs, though, are obviously not only going to affect the economies of those three countries, but let's focus on that first and talk about the impact on other nations as well. So how might their trade relations be affected?
Well, I mean, obviously, if the three countries in North America impose tariffs on each other, it's going to have an impact in terms of lowering economic growth. In fact, in some cases, there are calls now that says if the tariffs actually go through at 25%, There would be recessions in Canada and Mexico. Even the U.S. economy would suffer. And this is a big chunk of the world's economy. So if demand goes down in these countries and there's less production, less consumption, obviously it's going to affect other countries that export to North America or that want to invest there. And if on top of that there are additional tariffs on China, well, that possibly would have another dampening effect on economic growth. So I think that's the big problem with this threat of tariffs and ultimately their imposition is that it could really negatively affect the world economy.
Yes. And specifically, the USMCA, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, isn't there an agreement between and among the countries in place right now?
Yes, we do have a free trade agreement in North America.
Yes.
And so normally if you satisfy what are called the rules of origin, which is a certain quantity or percentage of North American content, then you can move goods across the three countries without paying any tariffs. And that's the whole idea behind free trade. In this case, though, Mr. Trump would appeal to kind of an exception to impose these tariffs because obviously they go against the agreement, but there are always exceptions for national emergencies or national security or these kinds of things. Of course, normally this would go through a dispute settlement mechanism and arbitrators would decide whether this is true or not, or is it just pure protectionism? But these processes take a long time. But yes, his claim would be one of national emergency. And I think that's why he's mentioning immigration and drugs, and especially fentanyl, coming into the U.S. and saying that is creating national emergency. And if tariffs are the means to get other countries to do something about it, well, that's what he's doing. And legally, on the U.S. side, at least, he would be allowed to do that. For the future, in terms of the agreement, we don't know.
Yes. I'm also curious as to the flip side, namely Canada, Mexico, China. How have they responded thus far to basically Trump saying he's going to be implementing these tariffs as soon as he comes into office? I mean, I'm assuming that there has to be some pushback.
Yes, there has been, although China has been fairly quiet so far, much more than the Canadians and the Mexicans. We know on the Mexican side that President Sheinbaum sent a letter to Donald Trump explaining what the situation is, explaining what Mexico is already doing and how it's going to continue, and in a way asking the incoming president to cooperate with Mexico on dealing with these issues. But Mexico is really kind of indicating that they are already doing a lot of what he's saying that they should be doing, that things have improved tremendously. And that if Mr. Trump does go ahead and imposes these tariffs, Mexico will retaliate. On the Canadian side, we've been less forceful, let's put it this way.
Okay.
Our Prime Minister had a call early in the week with Mr. Trump. They were in Mar-a-Lago in Florida at the Trump's resort on Friday night for dinner, basically trying to discuss and pave the way forward. Canada did make promises that it would strengthen the northern border, so the border between Canada and the United States, to make it more secure with helicopters and other technologies. And Mr. Trump seems to have responded positively to that engagement. But as we know, he might be happy today, but tomorrow he might be unhappy for another reason and still wants to impose tariffs. So we'll have to see once he's in office what's going to happen. But clearly there has been a response from both sides in North America. And so far, Mr. Trump has seen the engagements that he's had, the discussions that he's had with both Canada and Mexico as positive, as a step in the right direction. So we'll have to see what happens in the end.
I see. I also want to address the BRICS bloc, the bloc of nations there, because Trump also proposed 100% tariffs against BRICS nations. So what's behind this, and how is this going to kind of, be affecting the rest of the world?
Well, the BRICS nations have been looking at a way for their trade and other financial needs to be less dependent on the U.S. dollar.
Yes.
I mean, certainly we know Russia is suffering because of the sanctions that have been imposed as a result of its invasion of Ukraine. But also China has been looking at reducing its dependence and creating a parallel system or regime based on the Chinese yuan to try to offer an alternative ultimately to the US-based financial system, and especially the use of the dollar for international trade. So Mr. Trump obviously now sees this happening and these attempts, which have not gone very far. So it's not as if the US dollar is threatened in any way in the short and medium term.
Yes.
But we know Mr. Trump likes to use tariffs as a way to open negotiations. So he's hoping that maybe he can get something from these countries, and especially the new ones, the smaller countries that have joined the BRICS regime, if you want, or organization, and maybe pull them back closer to the U.S. Others, people have said, though, by doing that, by threatening to impose tariffs, he might, in a way, embolden the BRICS to look for maybe an alternative to the U.S. dollar and maybe dependence on the U.S. economy. So it might have a counteracting effect, but we'll have to see. Again, he's very good on his threats, but once you start negotiating, he might actually back down depending on what the offer is. He's very transactional, and that's his way of kind of opening deal making.
Well, Professor, we have a message from one of our listeners, a question actually posed by the ID is Foster Jung, and he wants to know about the de-dollarization among the BRICS nations. Do you think that, yes, I know it's been discussed, but is this a feasible idea, and how close are they to maybe replacing the dollar, or is that just kind of in theory but not in practice?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, there are attempts to provide an alternative. As I said, China has been doing it, although it hasn't been very successful. The U.S. dollar is still recognized as, a credible, secure currency that people are happy to do business in. And as long as that's the case, well, it's going to continue to be used. And it's not clear that people, I mean, certainly for companies that do business with China, they might say, yes, using the yuan is fine. But for the rest of the world, people still do business in U.S. dollars.
Yes.
So to change that is going to be very, very difficult because so many transactions, so many ways of doing business are in U.S. dollars. There's still a lot of business going on with the United States. Lots of central banks have most of their reserves in U.S. dollars. So it would really require a complete meltdown of the U.S. economy and the U.S. dollars to get the world to shift to something else. But would it be the Chinese yuan? It's not clear. There might be a shift to a different kind of currency, maybe less dependent on one country, where it might be, we know that the International Monetary Fund has this kind of basket of currencies called the special drawing rights. So maybe countries would start looking at something like that to be less dependent on one currency from one country.
Yes.
But that's certainly in a very long term. I think in the short term, unless some kind of catastrophe that I can't even think about happens, the U.S. dollar is here to stay as the not only the reserve currency of the world, but also the one that companies use for their international trade and investments.
Thanks for explaining and responding to that question, Professor. And as we wrap up our discussion, I do want to touch upon how having all these tariffs, this will ultimately affect not just the U.S. and the U.S. consumers, but internationally, as a whole, how this will affect everybody around the world.
Well, as I said, it would certainly affect all three economies in North America very badly, especially at rates of 25%. But the rest of the world will suffer because obviously the United States and North America are an important part of the world economy. It represents probably something close to about 20% of the world economy. So if that economy is not doing well, if it goes into recession, well, the rest of the world will suffer. Countries then and companies that export to the United States or have investments in the United States and in Canada and Mexico will suffer as a result. So their profits are going to go down and that might reduce their investments. They might wait to see what happens. So ultimately, everyone suffers as a result of these measures. But I think for the rest of the world economy, the uncertainty with respect to the Trump administration's management of economic policy and trade policy in particular is something that might slow down the economy as investors and companies kind of wait and see to get a sense of where the wind blows to and from before going forward. And in the meantime, obviously, that puts pressure down on overall world economic growth.
I see. Well, of course, we're going to be following all these issues related to this. But thank you so much for coming on air with us. And take care, Professor. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be on, and I wish you a nice day.
This was Professor Patrick Leblond for our special interview today, talking about the proposed tariffs and the effects that they may have, not just on those three particular countries, but consumers and the world at large. All right, we're going to take a short song break. Here it is, Happy Holidays. This is by Bing Crosby, the Beef Wellington remix.
Happy holiday, happy holiday. May the calendar keep bringing happy holidays to you.
If you're burdened down with trouble, if your nerves are wearing thin, pack your load down the road, come to Holiday Inn.
Traffic noise affects you like a squeaky violin. Take your cares down the stairs, come to Holiday Inn. Happy holiday, happy holiday. May the calendar keep bringing happy holidays to you.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It's time to check in with Bobby for business perspectives. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're
Yes.
feeling a little
I think
not so
it's-
great?
Yeah, a little something. The changing of the weather, it's
Fluctuations, not good.
cold and kind of warm and
Right,
something like that. Yeah,
right.
but,
I want to talk about this message. We were talking about this off air, but Tejin sent in a photo, a snapshot of this little, back and forth between him and his daughter, and I won't say her name, but basically saying oh, Dad, have a good day at work, and then lots of cute little emoticons and stuff like that, because he for 3 days was watching the kids on his own.
Oh, wow.
Because his wife was, away.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of brought them closer. But, that's what happens when, mom has to be away. And out of just, survival mode, you have to survive together.
One of two ways. It could bring them closer together, or the kid could get closer to the mother.
I know, we don't like Dad.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently he did something right. Because, she sent them this really cute message. Oh, that's so sweet.
My role model. I got to learn.
All right. So, what are we doing a part 2?
We're doing a part 2.
Of Elon Musk.
Yes, so that's where we're spotlighting Elon Musk. That's where we left off. Just a quick recap. I think out there people describe him as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right? Innovator. Visionary.
Yes.
Self-taught rocket scientist. That still catches.
That's pretty amazing. Because didn't you say he dropped out of grad school? Or?
Yeah, so he wanted to pursue a master's in physics
at Stanford, and he
and
went one day and said, "No, that's enough."
He enrolled in the program, but 2 days afterwards, him and his brother had the opportunity to start their own company, and that's the genesis of him becoming the business person.
Say no to a
higher education
in physics.
Hey, if you can teach yourself to be a rocket scientist, why
do you need it? Why not to go to school?
So,
just kidding.
Also hardworking. I mean, you always hear stories of him sleeping on the factory floor. Right. So that's true. A little bit. So we already went through his background, but want to go right into the companies, and we touched upon that a little bit. That are in his portfolio or that he has founded. And again, these are all since 2002. So not that long ago.
Right.
So we'll go through SpaceX. That's what he established first, 2002, with the aim to reduce space transportation costs and enable colonization of Mars.
Right.
Big goal.
Yes. And then a lot of people think he founded Tesla. He did not found Tesla.
No, he did not found it. So Tesla was founded in 2003. Now, he was an early investor.
That's true.
In 2004.
And then he
became he became the CEO.
Yes.
4 years later. Right. A little management shakeup.
Right.
They lead the industry in terms of electric vehicles and renewable energy solutions.
Yes.
OpenAI, another big company that we've been talking a lot about. He co-founded this one.
That's right.
In 2015 with Sam Altman. Focused on AI research. The following year in 2016, co-founded Neuralink, worked on brain-machine interfaces.
Right.
That same year in 2016, also founded the Boring Company. It's
not 재미없는, boring, drilling into tunnels, right?
So tunnel construction services and infrastructure company, really focusing on building of intra-city transport systems. A couple more, X, formerly Twitter.
Yes.
He acquired that in 2022. A lot of news. Social media platform.
Yes.
And just last year, XAI, founded in 2023. It's a competitor of OpenAI.
Yes.
And it's, he did step down as a board of director of OpenAI in 2018 as after an unsuccessful bid to take over management. Similar to Tesla, what he did.
Right. I'm very curious. So I know that these companies, many of them that we've heard about, they're very, public companies. They're in the media a lot.
Yes.
So Tesla, what's the market value of Tesla right now?
Right now. So Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. So Tesla alone, the market value is $660 billion. Yes.
Wow.
and as you were talking about, just think about this. Just again, a lot of the companies that we talked about, a lot of commercial, news about them.
Yes.
Just having just one, founding even one of them.
Yes.
Right? But like 6
multiple,
of them, right?
yes.
That's pretty crazy. SpaceX, another company that's revolutionized space travel, that one's valued at over $100 billion.
And SpaceX has been in the news quite a bit in the last few years.
Yes.
With the launches and that amazing,
return back,
catching it, with that amazing.
But another thing on that one is they had 3 failed launch attempts.
Yes.
Which almost put the company under. But in 2008, they finally had a successful one, and the rest is history.
Sure.
The great thing about them is also they're the only private company to take humans to and from the International Space Station.
Okay.
Again, huge goal.
Right.
Huge one.
I mean, it's the fact that before it was just NASA.
Yeah, government agencies.
That's it.
Right?
Or
Government
other,
funded,
but we're talking about privatizing this whole idea of space travel.
I thought it was nuts when I first heard about that. The Boring Company.
Yes.
Want to focus on creating intra-city transit systems, really to reduce traffic.
Okay.
And in 2021, they introduced their first project at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and that includes 2 parallel tunnels that measure 1.7 miles. And these tunnels feature Tesla vehicles that carry passengers to and from their destinations at incredibly high speeds.
Oh, okay.
Neuralink.
Neuralink, this is something that we have covered a little bit before, right?
Yes.
So what exactly is Neuralink? If we had to say it in if we had to dumb it down a little.
Sure.
Yes.
Implantation of brain chips.
Yes.
All right. That will interface between the human brain and computers outside. So really focusing on right now, if you think about paraplegic person.
Yes.
No use of their arms, but they still have these neural generation that can still go ahead and communicate with the brain chip, then gets the action through the computer, like speech and whatnot. So really interesting. And another thing, in May of 2023, Neuralink was approved for human trials in the U.S.
Right. So the trials are ongoing.
Yeah. And X, still a major platform for global communication. And Elon Musk's goal for X has been to promote free speech.
Yes.
And ridding the bot accounts and making its algorithm more open source.
Well, let's talk about his impact, or at least, the businesses that he is involved in.
Yeah. Okay, so Tesla continues to spur growth in the EV market and renewable energy sector. I think SpaceX is so interesting. Like we were talking about, before it was just NASA, but it really not only beyond government agencies, but really revitalized this whole space industry.
Okay.
Created a lot more jobs. And also their Starlink service, it's expanding internet access to really remote areas.
That's true.
So big impact. Boring Company, the impact, reduce urban traffic issues.
Sure.
And X continues to be a global communication tool, social media tool as well.
Indeed. Yeah. So is there, what should we know about the future, the growth perspective of, I guess, the companies?
Well, a lot the spaces that his companies are making an impact is on technology, transportation, communication.
Sure.
Big industries that we're talking about and continue to talk about, right? Just like we talked about SpaceX and the Starlink satellite internet system. And, Tesla is continuing expanding its product and is globally becoming a dominant player in EV. So
sure.
Huge impact. And, especially we're talking about earlier that it's the last month of the year.
It is.
And as we go into 2025, here's some of Elon Musk's mottos for us to think about.
Interesting. Okay, here we go.
One of them, think big. We talked about that already. His projects are ambitious, and they demonstrate the importance of thinking big and aiming for significant accomplishments.
Yes, think big.
Think big. Another one, taking risks.
He's good at that.
Yes.
And I mean, they paid off, right?
Yes. I mean, foregoing a graduate degree at Stanford, right?
Yeah.
That was a risk, right?
Yes.
So he's taken risks throughout his career, and he believes taking risks is necessary to achieve significant success.
Significant success. Okay.
Embrace failure.
This is a hard one.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. He believes failure is an essential part of the learning process and wants to encourage people to embrace it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
Okay.
One more. Focus on solutions. He's known for his focus on finding solutions to complex problems.
Okay.
And encourages people to adapt a similar mindset in both their personal and professional lives.
Well, it's, not just business for him, but politics lately.
Yes.
He's been in the news quite a bit.
With his hand on those companies, he got tapped.
Yes.
By the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to serve as the co-commissioner of the Department of Government Efficiency.
That's right.
Working alongside Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, this DOGE group is outside of the government, but will work with the Trump administration to streamline federal bureaucracy and zap redundancies.
Cutting the red tape.
Yes.
Basically.
He is recently credited with looking to slash $2 trillion from the government budget.
Okay. Well.
More power to him.
Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see about... the future that is in store for Elon Musk. But what is your phrase of the week?
All right. So the phrase of the week, make one's mark.
Oh.
It's an expression that means becoming well-known or noticed for doing something impressive or unusual. It fits Elon Musk very well.
Yes.
Made his mark across industries, companies, and across the world and galaxy.
Right.
So what can we take away? So I think the question for us would be, in what way or how do we want to leave our mark? Right? What do we want to be known for, and what type of a legacy do we want to leave behind? Now, it doesn't have to be galaxy-altering.
Like Musk?
Yes. But I want to encourage all of us to start where we are today and take some small steps.
Okay.
So personally for me,
yes,
these days I'm thinking about how I can enhance my personal relationships.
Oh.
And I'm challenged in how I would like to leave my mark for my wife, kids, family, friends, and colleagues around me. And a quote from Maya Angelou.
Oh, okay.
Once said, I learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did.
Okay.
But people will never forget how you made them feel.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Challenge and encouragement to start off the weekend.
People will not forget how you made them feel. Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Well, let's make our mark, on Bobby's words. He does advice. Let's see what kind of week we can have. But thank you so much, Bobby.
Yeah,
we do appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great week, everyone.
All right, everybody. This is Bobby with Business Perspective. So this first Monday of the last month of the year, once again, it's December. So if you have any, loose ends you need to tie up, things that you need to wrap up, things you need to get in order, this might be the month to do it. And Monday, why not start today? How about this song to take us out? 행복의 주문 by 커피소년. And thanks and a goodbye to all of you. Bye, everybody.
머리는 천근만근 마음도 누르는데 내 속삭임으로 행복의 주문 걸어 그대 맘을 밝혀줄게요 따라하면 돼요 카운터 줄게요 어렵지 않아요 단순하긴 해도 힘이 될 거예요 행복의 주문 하나 둘 셋 행복해져라 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 우울한 사람도 지친 사람들도 행복해져라 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 돼요 카운터 줄게요 어렵지 않아요 단순하긴 해도 힘이 될 거예요 행복의 주문 하나 둘 셋 행복해져라 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 우울한 사람도 지친 사람들도 행복해져라 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 가져라 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 우울한 사람도 지친 사람들도 가져라 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 버스에서 택시에서 작은 요원에서 주방에서 혹은 야근하고 있나요 모두 떠난 사무실에 홀로 앉아 한숨 쉬면 늦게까지 끙끙대나요 사랑은 언제 해봤는지 외로움에 답답함에 우도 그냥